Hello.
Hi, Carol. It's Abby Glassenberg.
Hello, Abby.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
I found your website and your patterns just searching online for people who were interested in soft story design and have come up with a way to make it into a business. And I was just interested in hearing a little bit about sort of your career trajectory and what made you decide that this is what you wanted to do, and what kind of successes you've had, and maybe frustrations along the way too.
Yeah. Well, it certainly wasn't normal, I can say that.
Right, exactly. It's a rare person, myself included, who is just totally enamored with making stuffed animals. So
Well, I know. I've been on your website and not spent a lot of time on it, but I found your animals and your designs just charming. And
thank you.
I want to spend a little bit more time studying them and see what they're like.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That's so nice to hear. So tell me a little bit about how you learned to sew, and, were you a creative person when you were growing up?
Well, I guess I was. My mom sewed, my grandmother sewed, my great-grandmother sewed.
Okay.
And they did absolutely exquisite handwork.
Uh-huh.
And so it was a natural for my mother to start teaching me at, I want to say 5 at least.
Oh, wow.
And then as time progressed, she started teaching me in earnest using, if you can believe it, Vogue Couturier and designer patterns.
Oh, wow.
And she said to me, your garment, she really stressed this, your garment has got to look as good on the inside as it does on the outside. And then as time progressed, when she looked at my work and she felt it was good enough, she said, okay, now you can go out and break all the rules.
Right, but
so
you needed to have the fundamentals first.
Right. So when I'm teaching my classes now, that's one of the things that I really stress is that they have to learn the basics and they have to learn them well. But I know that as I was getting older, I would go down to some of the more expensive stores in town, and I'd go pull something from the rack that appealed to me, and I'd take it in the dressing room, try it on, take it off, just study the inside. And then I'd go home and I'd try to copy it by pasting a bunch of patterns together. And that really was what started me off on sewing. So for years I just sewed clothing.
Uh-huh. Okay. Great. So, did you study art or sewing at all in college, or?
Not sewing, no, but I was an art major, yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then after college, did you seek out a different kind of career, or did you, immediately decide that this was the kind of, sewing and making things was going to be, a career choice for you?
No, not then, because I actually was working in broadcasting. I married somebody who also was in broadcasting, and then I put together a business at home that dealt with broadcasting art. And so I didn't get into the sewing for anything but a hobby until years later.
Wow. Okay, interesting. So then what made you make that shift from sewing clothing to sewing stuffed animals?
Well, it's really not to startle people, but I like to say because I got cancer. But the truth is that I was undergoing chemo, and I wanted something to do on the days that I felt better. And so one of my friends gave me a teddy bear kit.
Uh-huh.
And it had a gazillion pieces to it. I did not enjoy the process, and I thought, okay, something's wrong here. You should be having fun when you are making a teddy bear.
Right.
Now, I never set out to do a 2-pattern piece bear. I just wanted to see, could I do this in fewer than a gazillion pieces?
Okay.
So once again, like I was doing with the clothing, I was pasting stuff together and recutting it and making all these really strange little Neanderthal-looking men. And all of a sudden, I came up with the original bear. So once I did that, I thought, oh, it was easy to think in terms of...
Was that bear 2 pattern pieces? Is that what you said?
Yeah. That was the very first one.
Kind of the two sides, the 2 sort of profile pieces, and then it sort of out.
Yeah. You've got 2 pattern pieces, 4 pieces of fabric, because you cut a mirror image like you do a blouse.
I see. Right.
So,
okay, neat. So that made the process of sewing that bear much more straightforward and maybe more enjoyable for people.
Exactly. Yeah. And I immediately came up with the cat, which was very much like the bear, only with a tail, and then the rabbit. I thought about, how can I do this? And I don't design like normal self-sculpture people who seem to translate things in terms of, and I'm talking about people who do realistic things, who translate things in terms of mathematic formulae. I don't do that. I sit and study an idea in my head of, okay, which animal do I want to try and create? And then I sit and visualize in my mind what should that pattern piece look like so that it will give me the look that I want.
Right.
And that's I just see it in my head.
And then do you then go from that sort of vision in your mind to a sketch, or do you just go straight to drawing the pattern pieces themselves?
No, I sketch it.
You do.
I sketch it and study it and make up all kinds of prototypes to see what do I need to change, what do I like, what don't I like about this particular design.
Right. I'm a big prototype maker, so I understand that process.
Well, I have a lot of them sitting around.
Oh, yes, right, exactly. I often go back and harvest all the stuffing out of them, and, once I'm finished with them all, because there have been a few that have been, going on 9 or 10 prototypes before I'm satisfied, so I understand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I also have a problem with being a perfectionist, and I know at times some of my friends will say, Carol, why is it taking you so long? Just go ahead and do it.
Right.
And so I remember the lamb was a particularly tough birth until a bunch of my friends, we were all at lunch one day, and they said, Carol, stop tweaking with it. Just go ahead and put it out. It was fine.
Yeah, sometimes you do have to just say good enough is pretty darn good, and go forward.
Right.
But I like how you said it was a tough birth, because I do at times feel like when it finally does work, it is sort of like giving birth to a new being.
Yeah.
So you went from designing that two pattern piece bear, and then making these other animal variations, and then what was the next step to creating this into a real business?
Well, I was when the first 3 were born, I was still working in television here in the Bay Area for the ABC station, and there was another lady on staff there who was really actively involved in a group called Marin Needle People, and they put on an annual show. So she said one day, you really should pattern those and bring them out to the show. And I did everything myself. I shot the black and white cover to the pattern. I took it to the local printer. I typed it up. There were no computers. This is in the early 80s. So I typed it on a computer, and I hand drew the pattern piece. I mean, it was very, well, I don't want to say crude, but it was It was not as professional as it looks now.
It was homegrown.
There you go. There you
right.
go. Yeah, absolutely. And I took it out there, and I had a really funny thing happen. I was setting up. I had also done signs saying only 2 pattern pieces, and I had all my little animals out on a table, and then my patterns right there and so forth. And during setup, this woman swoops down on my booth and says in this big booming voice, "It's about time." And she gathers an armload of everything and sails off, to somewhere else in the building. And I said, wait a minute, who are you and what are you doing?
Right.
And she comes back a few minutes later with about 5 ladies trailing behind her. And she says to them, "Buy this pattern. It will sell." Well, what I found out then was this was Eleanor Peace Bailey. I don't know if you know who Eleanor
is.
I
do. Of course I do, yes.
Okay, well, that was Eleanor, and these were shop owners, and she was urging them to buy the pattern, and that's really what kind of got that part started.
Oh, wow. That must have been very exciting for you.
Oh, yeah, because I knew her patterns. I just didn't know her.
Right. But to see her in person and then to really attract her attention.
Yeah, and and she really is her animals. Her dolls. And she's
just out of this world. Yeah,
she wears her dolls, and she's always after me. Carol, why don't you create clothing that has your animals all over it? Eleanor, there's only one of you, and that's the way it should be.
That's funny. So then it sounds like from there maybe these were fabric stores who were purchasing the patterns at that time? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So you probably got quite a few interested from that experience alone.
Well, at that point, yes. And then I suddenly started hearing from other exhibitors about the Houston Quilt Festival.
Uh-huh.
And because I had a sister who lived in Houston, I thought, okay, fine, let's check into this and see what would be involved in getting a booth at that show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still undergoing chemo at that point.
Oh, wow.
And so I got the okay from the doctor to make this trip, and I shipped everything. My sister and her family helped me at the show, and essentially I sold out.
Wow.
I was just startled to see the reaction to the animals. And I think, some of it was you're at this show, they're mostly quilts, right, and it's a do not touch. And here I am with all these fuzzy little animals that
right,
everybody was picking up and playing with and having a good time. And it was just amazing to me that I sold out.
Wow. Wow. So then you're talking about having your patterns really nationally in all kinds of different quilt shops and fabric stores. And so
I definitely.
I'm sorry, did you have to produce them? You had to, I'm sure, make that leap from the homegrown, photocopied pattern to having a professional printer take care of this.
Well, that show was a wealth of information because I picked the brains of everybody that I could talk to about how did you do this, what did you do here, make some recommendations. And, I would just talk to everybody that I could possibly talk to
right,
find out how do I make my things look better. And that's how I learned. Then I know it was not long after that then that it became obvious that what I needed to do was to do color covers.
Right.
And the man who shoots all of my covers is a very close friend who has done all of them from the very beginning.
Uh-huh.
And so there's a similarity
right,
to all of them, which I want to maintain.
Yeah, having that consistency I think is really important. Yeah.
And then, of course, I had to learn to do a lot of these things on the computer.
Right.
And I've got a good friend of mine who kind of cleans things up for me
That's
before
great.
it goes to the printer.
Right.
And the printer who does the inside part is the same one who's done it from the beginning, so he knows my stuff, he knows what I need. And so that has all been kind of standardized over time.
Right. And then you opened your website where you also sell kits for each of the animals. So it comes with the fabric and the eyes and all the notions that a person would need to make each animal, and then you sell fur and, other items that sort of go along with the pattern. So when did that begin?
Well, from the time that I started this, I developed a real love affair with the fur. And it has become increasingly difficult. When I got into this, the fur, quality fur was fairly easy to find. Subsequently, we lost most of our mills in the United States, and I've had to do a real search to find somebody who can offer not the really super expensive stuff, because that's not my customer base.
Right.
But better than craft fur. And now I'm working almost exclusively with a man out of Los Angeles who owns his own mills in Korea and China, but he has complete control over the quality. And so it was kind of a natural for me to offer that. And again, like with the eyes and the noses, they're pesky little things, and I wish I didn't have to deal with them, but they're part of the animal.
Right.
They are Softie. They're made by an excellent company out of Japan, but there are no more American distributors, so I have to order them directly from Japan.
Right.
And I need to offer them so that people will have them when they go to put the pattern together.
Do you find from talking with people, I know you do quite a few quilt and sewing shows, and when you talk to people, do they find it difficult to find those materials in their local fabric store?
Yes. And even shops now are, they're mostly quilt shops that we've got. We've got more quilt shops than we seem to have fabric stores right now. They don't want to deal with the big rolls of fur. That's understandable.
Right.
Neither do I, but, thank goodness I've got a big garage. But, these things come in 30-yard, at least, minimum 30-yard rolls, and they're pretty big and they're pretty heavy. Most of your quilt stores clearly, obviously, don't want to deal with that sort of thing.
No, my local quilt shop,
they don't do.
Right.
Yeah.
My local quilt shop does not have a good fur selection, and in fact, my sort of big box fabric store where I live in Boston also doesn't have a great fur selection. Fortunately, a new locally owned fabric store just opened recently, and they have a wonderful selection of fur. But I imagine that most communities do not have a store like that.
No, they don't.
Right. So these kits are probably really nice, and it's also nice to be able to know you're getting exactly what you need for a particular pattern, so that you're not going to then start sewing and realize, I don't have the right eyes, or I ran out of fabric, or whatever.
Well, that's the other thing that I learned early on, that my customer wants to grab and go. She doesn't want to necessarily sit there and think about, well, what all do I need here? So I try to tell people, okay, this has everything but the fiber fill. I also offer the fiber fill if you want to get it. And I recommend a brand named Hobbs, which is a premier quilt batting company, but they also make an excellent fiber fill. Okay. And then you've got everything you need.
Right, and that's very nice. So now, do you also teach people workshops on how to make these toys? I
do. I've got a Girl Scout troop that I'm teaching, and sometimes a show promoter will bring me in and want me to conduct a kids make bears class, which is always fun. Sometimes the American Sewing Guild brings me in to do classes for kids, moms, grandmas. We always have a good time with those. And then I demo through a show also.
Uh-huh.
Because I like to show people how really easy it is to work with fake fur if you just know some few simple techniques.
Right. And some people are intimidated because the fur has a pile and they're worried it's not going to go under their presser foot easily, or what kind of needle to use, and it's going to shift. And so helping people to overcome those obstacles and then be able to really enjoy sewing with the fur.
Well, and conversely, there are people who just don't want to deal with the fake fur. They want something that will work for small babies, because probably the biggest group of customers that I have are grandmothers and great-grandmothers, and they want to make these for the grandkids.
Uh-huh.
And some of them are brand new babies, so you don't want to hand a brand new baby something that's got a 2-inch long fur pile on it.
Right.
So I need to source other fabrics that are appropriate, which is where Minky and Minky clones have come in so handy, because those are great for the babies, as well as just the really, really super short nap furs.
Right.
And my customer, who might be intimidated by the longer fur, doesn't even hesitate when she sees the shorter nap furs or the Minky.
Right. Right. So that's kind of an easier start, at least, for someone who's interested in learning to sew with fur, but is a little put off by the long pile. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Now, have you done any licensing of your patterns to mainstream pattern companies?
Well, in '93, I got a call from McCall's.
Uh-huh.
And they said that they had been getting a lot of telephone calls from customers who'd heard about these easy 2-pattern piece animals, and did McCall's know anything about them? And they finally tracked me down through an ad that I'd run in a magazine.
Uh-huh.
And I signed a licensing agreement with them, which is in effect today. They've been a wonderful, wonderful company to work with. And it's just been a really wonderful association.
That's
I
super.
have no regrets at all.
So have you, how many patterns have you, or pattern envelopes, I guess is how they are, have you done with them?
Oh my God, Abby, I have no idea.
So is it your whole line? Is it all of your animals?
No.
Okay.
They take a look at my things. They keep a look at my website, and I'm really behind in coming out with new things. When you're, as you may know, when you're a one-woman operation and you do it all,
it is very hard to find that time. Yeah. It's so hard to find time to just relax and get into that creative zone and create something new, and you need to maintain everything you've already got going.
Right. And still go to the shows, do all the book work and all of that sort of. I hate the business end, but unfortunately it's a necessary part of it.
Right.
And so they keep a watch on my website. Sometimes they are at the larger shows. They may have representatives at some of the larger shows that I do. Every once in a while I'll go off and do a couple of the wholesale shows, and they'll see them at the wholesale shows. Or, they'll email me or call me and say, there's a new Disney movie coming out, and its main character is a tiger. Do you think you could do a tiger?
Uh-huh.
And, then if I think it's a possibility, I'll go ahead and work on it.
Right.
And that's kind of how we've been working. That's
great. So, I hope you don't mind my asking, but has that been, has it been lucrative for you to license patterns that way? I just never know if with this sort of thing, is it worth doing as far as a business move for people who might be interested in doing that?
Well, in the beginning, it was wonderful. And it was ultimately money that I didn't have to work very hard for because I'd already designed the pattern.
Right.
But as time went on, I discovered through looking at the paperwork that even though the number of units sold, because they do a reporting to me twice a year,
Right.
Even though the number of units sold had increased, my royalties had gone down. And so I called them and I said, is there an explanation for this? And they said, yes, we've been hit with the unfortunate fact that Joann's has come to us, and then we found that Walmart was quick to follow. They wanted to do 99-cent sale days of the patterns.
Oh, right.
And I said, well, couldn't and this was before McCall's owned Butterick or Vogue. They were still independent pattern companies.
Okay.
And I said, well, can't you band together and refuse to accept this? And they said, no, the company has decided they'll go along with it. Well, since my royalties are based on a percentage of the actual wholesale price, sale price.
And then they're based on that 99-cent price.
Exactly.
Because it's the price it sells for, right? And because the pattern envelopes themselves are probably, I don't know, over $10 most likely.
Yes. And so it's affected all of us.
Yeah, to discount that to $1 is really significant.
Right, and not only does it mean less money for me, it means less money for the company itself.
Right. I wonder, now that the internet age is here, as a person who sort of had this business before all of the online, sales and Etsy and all of that was in existence, and now here you are still doing what you do and doing a good business at it. I wonder what you think, the future holds, both for, the bigger pattern companies and then also for people like you and I, as far as, making soft toy patterns and trying to make a career out of it.
Well, I think there's always going to be a market, and I don't want to say it's as small as a niche market, but I think that the thing that has sustained the sewing industry these past number of years has been quilting.
Right.
And I don't quilt.
I don't quilt either.
I know how.
Sure.
And I feel that what I need to do is perhaps come out with a line of baby quilt patterns based on my animals, just to appeal to that market. And I will do that, and they'll probably be appliqued. I love to do hand sewing, compliments of my mom, grandma, but
right.
I frankly, I find quilting boring.
I'm not a quilter. I don't like math. So quilting is quite a bit of geometry involved, and that does not appeal to me.
Yeah, and there is little room for error.
Right.
And you can be less than perfect when you're putting together my animals, and nobody's going to really notice.
Right, because they're an organic representation of part of nature. Essentially. I mean, if you're making a moose, it's a representation of a living moose, and a moose is part of nature, and nature's imperfect. So I like that too.
Exactly. And what I tell people, sometimes they'll walk up to me at a show and they'll say, "Oh, I made your bear and it turned out just awful, but my grandson loved it." And, these animals are meant to be whimsical.
Absolutely.
And it probably was very whimsical, which has its own charm.
Right.
And I think you just didn't see the charm.
Right. And if you give them to a child, they're going to endow that animal with its own personality and love it for who it is. So again, that imperfectness can actually make something more perfect.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm sure, that if I know you've run into this yourself, that an adult will want to make something absolutely perfect. And yet the goofier, the crazier it is to a child, the child loves it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You've made a little person very happy, even if it's not perfect in your own eyes. So they're very forgiving. Right.
Right.
Well, Carol, thank you so much for talking to me. I think this is so interesting, and it's really wonderful to hear from somebody who has the same passion that I do. And it's just really been a fascinating conversation for me. So thank you for agreeing to talk to me.
Oh, you're more than welcome, Abby. And if somebody were to say to me, what would you want more than anything else in the world? It would be enough money to live on for a certain amount of time that all I had to do was create.
Oh, me too. I hope that's in the future for us.
I hope
all
for
right,
both of us also.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and let's be sure to keep in touch.
Oh, please do. I would love that.
All right, awesome.
Thank you, Abby.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.